And hello again to another Perspectives chat. And I'm going to call this chat something like the House of a Divided Sun. Um, Sounds quite obscure, but what came to my mind was I was just thinking of a way to consider an analogy of why how we are so divided in our thinking and how humanity is so separated in its separate reality sets. And I thought of an analogy of the sun entering a house. And as soon as I thought that, one of my favorite poems came to mind. And it's a poem which is called The Sun Rising by the English poet John Donne. And John Donne was a 17th century poet, usually recognized as being one of the metaphysical poets, as they call them. And I'll just read the opening stanza of this poem. I haven't read it for a while, but I looked it up for this chat. It's called The Sun Rising. Remember, it's from the 17th century. Busy old fool, unruly sun, why dost thou thus, through windows and through curtains, call on us? Must to thy motions lovers' seasons run? Saucy pedantic wretch, go chide late schoolboys and sour prentices. Go tell court huntsmen that the king will ride. Call country ants to harvest offices. Love, all alike, no season knows nor clime, nor hours, days, months, which are the rags of time. Thy beams so reverend and strong, why shouldst thou think I could eclipse and cloud them with a wink? Um, this poem, like many of John Donne's poems, are related to his lovers. And this one is about he's lying in bed with his lover, and the sun comes through the window and disturbs him, wakes him up. And he says, how dare you, busy, unruly sun, come through the window and disturb me as I'm lying here with my lover? Why don't you go and disturb schoolboys or apprentices and wake them up, tell them to go their way, and tell court huntsmen that the king will ride. Go and wake people up who have a mission, something to do, but don't wake me up because I'm in love. And love knows no season, no climate, no hours, days, months, or the rags of time. And he says, don't think that you're so powerful because I could eclipse you with a wink. Just by closing his eyes, he could shut off the sun. So, thinking about that, this room where John Donne is with his lover is his reality at that moment. And when the sun comes in, it disturbs his reality. And he's responding to it from his perception at that time, in that reality, in the bedroom. And he doesn't want the sun's disturbance. And I was thinking previously about how we are all in our kind of separate reality boxes or reality sets. And I had the analogy of a house with many rooms and the sun coming into the house. Now, if we take, for example, a doll's house, a child's playhouse, and we look at it from above, we take the roof off and we look at it from above, and we see that there's all these different rooms. And obviously the walls are separating the rooms. Now imagine that the sun shines down on the house, which we can say in this analogy is like collective humanity. And the sun is shining down. Just for example, I take my lamp, and when it's switched on, you see, this is all non-scripted. When it's switched on, the light shines down and it goes onto the house. Now, when you're in an individual room, all you experience is that sun coming down into your room because you are separated by the walls. And that's your experience of your reality. You may not know that the sun shines in the other rooms, or to what degree. Or does the sun shine directly? Does it come through curtains? We don't know the filters in those other rooms. And I sense that in a similar way, our human mindset is like that, is that we have our different ideologies, we have our different religious perspectives and beliefs, and we have other lifestyle beliefs. And it's almost as if we're being kept in these different rooms because we're given the walls. And if we're in one room and we never leave that room of the house all our lifetime, all we get to see and perceive is the sun for that room. So if we're brought up in a religious context, then that's what we know for that room. We live in a religious room. And if we could, come down on top of that child's house, that doll's house, and take off all the walls, then we'll see that it's the same sun which now covers all the floor. It's the same sun, the same source, and yet these artificial walls that build the house breaks it up into different rooms and different kind of sets. And as I was thinking of that analogy, I was reminded of an anecdote or a story that a very, very close friend of mine told me several years ago. Now, I believe this story because it's a true encounter that was told to me by a very dear friend who I've known for a long time, so I trust them. And this person works in one of the top global insurance companies. And one of their working colleagues is responsible for looking after the insurance for FIFA, which is the World Football Governing Association. And of course, FIFA organizes the World Cup and all these, it's in control of all the football tournaments. And I'm sure everyone's aware what FIFA is. Or if you're coming from North America, we call it obviously English soccer, but even American teams are now participating in the World Cup of FIFA football. Now, this is a huge, powerful organization, and they only deal with one person directly for insurance. And my friend told me that their colleague was the person responsible for dealing with FIFA. And when they went into a meeting, only alone they went to meet the top high representative of FIFA to negotiate the continuation of their insurance. After the negotiation had finished, this very high-ranking FIFA official said to the insurance person, "Well, do you actually know what FIFA does? You know, what are we really involved in? What do we provide?" And of course, this person said, "Well, of course, it's football. You know, everyone knows that FIFA gives the World Cup. You give the football tournaments." And surprisingly, the FIFA official said, "Yes, we do football, of course we do, but that's not what we really provide." Do you know what it is? So the insurance official said, sponsorship, lots of money in sponsorship. And the FIFA said, "Yeah, well, that as well, but it's not what we really provide." Do you know what it is? And the insurance person went through several alternatives: media coverage, television rights, etc., etc. And of course, FIFA said, "No, yeah, well, these things are collateral. These things we subsidiary, but it's not the core thing which we provide you." So at the end, the insurance person said, "Okay, what does FIFA provide?" And the FIFA official said, "What we provide is nationalism." Now that's a very telling statement, and it shows you their perspective from FIFA. They know that football provides nationalism, and of course, we can see that that's very valid, because most nations have a very strong support base for their football, both national teams, and the national teams have a lot of rivalry. But as soon as you put a national team together for an international tournament, then the whole country comes behind that team. It doesn't matter if previously, people on the national team are there, against their club, because everyone has their local clubs. They may dislike a player because they score goals against your club. But as soon as they become a part of the national team, everyone supports them, gets around them. And then we have this, at World Cup times, of course, we have this huge upsurge in nationalism. People support this nation against that nation. And it's a time for the country to pull together. They have events where they show outdoor screening of the World Cup. It's a great way to bring the country together. But of course, nationalism also creates, on an international level, a division between other countries and allows these global rivalries to continue. So at a time when humanity should be moving towards its unity, an acceptance of unity within diversification, but we are a human collective family. And at this time when we should be mature enough to understand those things, we still get these huge global events that promote the division of the human family into national groupings. And it seems to me that there are always external forces trying to create these divisions that are intent on maintaining the walls of the house, so the son, the busy old fool unruly son, as John Donne said, will fall only into particular rooms. And we are not yet, we don't yet have the cultural support to start to break down these walls and to see the unity of the global family. And so, although we all live in the same house, figuratively speaking, our separate rooms are being maintained. And if we look at our cultures now, we have so many tools of separation, of division. We have so many different competing cultural identities, social identities, sexual identities, and these are creating increased mini divisions even within the same room. So we have the house with different rooms, and then we have mini divisions within the same room. And we are coming at a time now, especially now in these transformative years, that we need to see beyond the sun of our room, the sun that comes through the window of our room. We need to see the greater sun, the sun that illuminates the whole house. And perhaps we're not going to achieve that from the top-down external level, because the sun, which has been for our room, is being controlled by forces external to us. Perhaps the way that the light is going to come into the whole house is from the bottom up, through the people. It's the light that comes through each individual that will help us to illuminate beyond the walls of our room. And that, I feel, is where we are going, but where we need to recognize and acknowledge where we are going, to be conscious of that light coming through bottom up or through the individual. It's the light coming from within that will break down the walls within the house. So there were just some thoughts that I had, and I thought I would share this time. So as always, Thanks for bearing with me. Cheers.